Imagine being in the Himalayas, being in a very cold environment and being very comfortable with steam coming out of your body. The Himalayas, vast expanses of snow, icy cold winds, and yet we see people thriving. How is it possible? How is this possible for humans to acclimatize to a situation, to an environment that is so harsh? We sought it out and we came to the answer, Tummo. Is it really possible? Is it really possible for humans to survive? Is it really possible for steam to come out of humans' bodies? So many unanswered questions, so many tough questions. And all our answers we found in the experiences of those who started practicing Tummo. Going to the Himalayas, even for a short visit, most of us would arm ourselves with a lot of external support. Jackets, gloves, so much. So how is it that there is a section of the population, there has always been a section of the population throughout the centuries, across generations, who have always looked within for answers? How is it that they manage to survive in places, in very harsh conditions, for such a long time, without any of these external supports that we take for granted? How is it possible? Where is heat or cold known? How do we know that it is hot? How do we know it is cold? Where do we know it? The mind? It's just a word. Where did that name come from? Where did that word come from? The mind. Any question about the power of the mind is really a question about the potential of the human experience, of our human lives. What is possible? Is it possible for us to be in a place where the climate is very harsh, where most humans would simply die? Is it possible for us to be there and still survive and thrive? Is it possible for us to breathe in very cold conditions? Is it possible for us to be without our warm clothes, our whole arsenal of gloves, and still be in the Himalayas and just simply chill? And it is this willpower and this determination to survive in the harshest climates that has come to us and still survive even in the 21st century as methods like Tummo, Chandalikriya, Wim Hof Method, to name a few. But it is the human mind that sees a difference in these words, whereas all words mean the same thing: the power of the mind to survive in the harshest conditions. How does Tummo work? Tummo begins by visualizing yourself. The visualizing itself happens within the mind, but what is visualized is what we really are. To really look at oneself and visualize within the heart center a small fire, a candle, a lighter, light, fire, warmth. The next step is to visualize the fire giving warmth to your entire body. To feel the hands, the legs, the body, the head. Everything about us being consumed in that single point within the heart center. That fire is Tummo. That visualization is Tummo. By whatever name we call it, it's all that. It's fire, it's warmth, it's life. It does not matter where we are. It does not matter what the temperature is. What matters is how well we can visualize ourselves, how well we can visualize the fire that we become. Is the mind really that powerful? Let's try and look at ourselves. All that we believe ourselves to be capable of. It is formed in the mind. What we believe we cannot, that too forms within the mind. What the mind shows, we know. What the mind refuses to show, we wonder. If we are to talk about the possibility of Tummo in our lives, I think what should first come is a disclaimer. Then I'll share a small incident that happened to me. Like we said, the visualization of the fire is within the heart. And a small occupational hazard that happens when you visualize the fire, say a little south, is that people start having problems within the tummy. There are imbalances that are created because of the heat generated within the stomach. The reason for sharing this is that methods like Tummo and Chandali Kriya are not to be taken lightly. These things are kept rahasya. These things are kept as secrets because of this. These things are kept rahasya for this reason, that within these practices lie the dangers for the uninitiated seekers. The one advice that has come from the gurus is to visualize the mind, to see the mind as the goddess and completely trust her. So how do you do it? Next time you find yourself in a cold environment, be it an AC room, be it the Himalayas, it does not matter where we are always here, in this moment, in the present moment, wherever we always are. So the next time it feels like a little cold, what you do is visualize fire, visualize a lighted matchstick, visualize a lighter, visualize fire within you, within your heart. Imagine there is fire. Imagine there is fire giving you warmth. Imagine it spreading throughout your body. Visualizing fire at the heart, that's the easy part. But how do you keep it there? And it is very difficult for us to lose sight of what we are concentrating on because of the mind. The mind keeps bringing in new thoughts, one after another. How many thoughts have come and gone? What do we do to keep our attention on the fire, on the warmth? And that is where the breath comes in. All meditation, known by whatever method, by whatever word, to any person of any age, of any civilization, all meditation comes down to this. There is breath. We don't have a choice. It just comes and goes. This is the essence of Tummo. To direct the breath to kindle that fire within you. To get warmth from each breath. This is meditation. This is Tummo. As generations of monks have spent their entire days and months and years practicing this, by frosted lakes, in the snow, in the remote monasteries of Tibet, what they understood was that humans are not bound by where they are. Humans are not bound by who they are with. We are not bound at all. All this exists within the scope of the mind. And everything can be controlled right here within our minds. The months that the monks have spent in practicing Tummo, it is a reflection of the monks' practice of months and years that we must try and develop for a few minutes at a time, for a few seconds at a time. Can we simply watch our breath and see it pass through all our body? It is a reflection of the monk's practice of months and years that we must try and develop, that we must try and reflect for a few seconds at a time, for a few minutes at a time. To simply watch the breath as it moves across the body, giving us energy, giving us warmth, giving us life. To really focus on the breath, this is meditation, this is Tummo. A monk was once asked if Tummo was simple, and he said that Tummo is deceptively simple. It is so deceptively simple that anybody can try it. Anybody can try it for 1 second, for 2 seconds, for 3 seconds. The real challenge in Tummo, as in anything else in life, is continuous practice. Is to keep it alive for a long time, is to keep the fire long enough that it gives us warmth. What the tantric schools in Buddhism know as Tummo, as we have spoken so far, the same thing has been explored elsewhere in the world and has come to us by many different names, some of which do bear mention in this sequence. One of them is the Wim Hof Method, which a lot of our viewers are generally familiar with. The Wim Hof Method also relies on optimal breathing, and it begins by controlling the temperature of the body. It begins by allowing the user to be in very harsh climates, especially in cold climates. The same optimal breathing is used by athletes and army men, Navy SEALs, etc. And under all these different names and techniques, what is done is the same. The exploration of the power of breath to change the dynamics of the human experience, the human body. There is another method, a method that is kept rahasya, that is not spoken of, that is not known in many circles beyond the innermost ones. It is called the Chandali Kriya. The Chandali Kriya is initiating Chandika, fire, anger within oneself. To really bring this to a single point and exhaust its heat, exhaust its warmth, and spread it all across our body, to spread it all across our feeling sensations. The few methods that have come to us and its practitioners who we are aware of, what they teach us is that by many different names, by many different words, the same thing is explored over and over again by new generations. It brings us to a realization that no knowledge is ever lost. No knowledge is ever external, because it is for us to understand and explore ourselves. This whole entirety of the human experience comes down to this moment, this place, this state of being, and this breath. Not everyone who practices Tummo do it to explore, but some do it to survive. The Eskimos of the Arctic regions come to mind. They've developed a method of meditation that increases their core temperature, that allows them to exist, to survive, to thrive in their conditions, in their harsh conditions too. And when you look into it, you see that there are many parallels to be drawn with Tummo, the Chandali Kriya, with Wim Hof Method, name anything. Some of the people who have popularized this method and who have inspired others to really try and understand and explore these methods, one of the foremost names that come to mind is that of Wim Hof. A man who wears shorts and climbs the Everest. A man who jumps into frozen lakes for entertainment. From Wim Hof to people like Riley Lee, the flute player, to Yeshi Donden, who was awarded the Padma Shri by the government of India, for their contributions, for their expansion of the human consciousness, to allow thousands and millions to understand that all this is possible, that we are not bound by the rules of nature as we had thought ourselves to be. The real contribution of people like Wim Hof and Yeshi Donden is that they allow us, they teach us that we are not alone, we are together, that we have the equipments needed in ourselves, in our breath. In Tummo, we have an opportunity to expand our horizons, to really look beyond what we've been told is possible, to look beyond what we believe ourselves to be bound by. And all these people, in Wim Hof, in Yeshidhundhan, in Riley Lee, and all these people, and all the unnamed individuals who have practiced across the centuries, across millennia, in all those people, it was always the same breath, it was always the same fire, and there was always a beginning. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears.